My girlfriend said, "I can't put my life on hold waiting for it to be over." I replied, "Okay, then." I blocked her, held my mom's hand through hospice, buried her, sat through the estate meeting, and I just watched as Sienna's upgrade appeared on the org chart of the company I now owned. Welcome to Family Tales. She told me I can't put my life on hold waiting for it to be over while my mom was dying in the hospital room behind us. I just said okay and walked away. As you listen, think about what you would do if someone chose that moment to make it about themselves. If you're listening, type listening and tell me where you're listening from. My name is Naylan. I'm 34 and I've been teaching chemistry at Lincoln High for almost 10 years. I've never been rich, but I've always liked my job. It feels real. It matters. My girlfriend, Sienna, was 32. We'd been together 3.5 years. She worked in pharma sales, made good money, drove a nice car, and always seemed like she had a plan. 8 months ago, my mom was diagnosed with stage IV pancreatic cancer. The doctors gave her maybe a year, probably less. She was all I had. My dad left when I was 6. It had been just me and her since then. I became the man of the house before I even understood what that meant. So when she got sick, I didn't debate it. I took family leave. I moved back into my childhood home and became her caregiver full-time. Chemo appointments, medications, cooking meals she could keep down. Sitting with her through the nights when pain wouldn't let her sleep, learning how to act calm when I was scared. Sienna told me she understood. She said she would support me. At first, she did. She came by after work, brought takeout, sat with us, helped a little, talked like normal people. Then month 3 hit and the visits got shorter. Then less frequent. Then she started saying she was too busy, too stressed. Pharma sales was demanding. I believed her because I wanted to. And honestly, I didn't have the energy to fight about anything while my mom was fading. Sometimes when you're in survival mode, you accept scraps of effort and call it love. You do it because you're tired, not because it's right. Last Tuesday night, my mom took a bad turn, fever, couldn't keep anything down. The hospital admitted her for observation. I'd been there since 600 a.m., sitting in that room watching her sleep, trying not to replay what the doctor said about comfort and time. Around 11 p.m., I stepped into the hallway to get coffee from the vending machine. That's when Sienna showed up. I hadn't told her we were at the hospital. I'd stopped sending constant updates because she stopped responding like they mattered. She walked toward me and I noticed her right away. Hair done. Makeup perfect, like she prepared for this moment. She didn't quite meet my eyes. "Hey," she said. My voice came out flat. "Hey, what are you doing here?" She shifted her weight. "We need to talk." My stomach dropped the way it drops when your brain knows what's coming but your heart still tries to deny it. I glanced back toward my mom's room. Through the glass, I could see her sleeping, monitors blinking, the steady beeping that becomes background noise until it doesn't. "Now," I said quietly. "Here." Sienna took a breath like she was stepping into cold water. "I've been trying to find the right time," she said, "but there never is one." Then she said it. "I can't do this anymore, Naylan. I can't put my life on hold, waiting for it to be over." The fluorescent lights hummed above us. A nurse laughed down the hall at something on her phone. Normal hospital sounds. Normal life happening while mine felt like it was splitting in two. The words hung in the air, waiting for it to be over. She meant my mom. She was talking about my mom dying like it was an inconvenience, like a delay, like a problem that needed to move along. I stared at her. Part of me wanted to yell, to ask what was wrong with her. But mostly I felt empty, like someone unplugged something inside my chest. I said one word. "Okay." She blinked like she expected a fight. I kept going, still calm. "What do you want me to say? You came to a hospital where my mom is dying to break up with me. You've made up your mind." She looked like she wanted to explain or defend herself or make it sound less ugly, but I didn't give her the space. I turned and walked back into my mom's room. I sat in the chair beside her bed. I took out my phone. I deleted Sienna's number. I blocked her everywhere. My mom was sleeping the whole time. She had no idea what just happened in the hallway. That was 4 days ago. I'm telling this from my mom's house at 200 a.m. because I can't sleep. The hospice nurse says it could be any day now. Hours, maybe. Sienna hasn't contacted me once. No text. No email. Nothing through a friend. I keep thinking I should feel something. Anger, betrayal, sadness. But I'm numb. Maybe it's shock. Maybe I used all my emotions watching my mom fade away and there's nothing left for anything else. When someone shows you who they are at your worst moment, believe that version. It's the clearest one you'll ever get. 3 weeks later, my mom passed away on a Monday morning at 6:47 a.m. I was holding her hand. It was peaceful, which is all I could ask for. The funeral was that Friday, small. Some cousins flew in. A few old friends from her teaching days. My colleagues from school. It was sad, but it was also quiet in a way that felt respectful. And yes, I kept half expecting Sienna to show up. Not because I wanted her there. Not because I wanted comfort from her. But because after 3.5 years, showing up for the funeral of someone you knew is basic human decency. She didn't come. No text. No flowers. No note. My best friend Rasht was my rock through it. He filtered my phone. Made sure I ate. Sat with me when the house felt too quiet. After the funeral, a lawyer pulled me aside. He said we needed to schedule a meeting about my mom's estate. I assumed it would be the house, a modest savings account, maybe a few personal items. My mom was a teacher. She lived modestly. I wasn't thinking about money anyway. You can't price the person who raised you alone. The meeting was that Monday. I walked into the office expecting paperwork and closure. Instead, I walked into a reality I didn't recognize. The lawyer calmly said my mom left me $2.8 million in accounts and investments. He said she also left me a 28% equity stake in a tech company called Tech Vista Solutions, and a board seat. I stared at him like he said someone else's name. I asked, "Are you sure you have the right person?" He smiled and showed me documents, all legit, all mine. Here's what happened. My Uncle James, my mom's older brother, died in 2019. He founded Tech Vista decades ago. I knew he did well. I didn't know he was startup rich. When he died, he left everything to my mom. And she never told me. She kept teaching, kept living in the same house, kept driving her old car. The lawyer said she told him she wanted me to build character and not rely on family money. She planned to tell me when I had my own family. Cancer had other plans. I sat in that office for 2 hours staring at the papers. Rasht had to pick me up because I wasn't in a state to drive. That night, I drank too much whiskey and ate pizza I barely tasted, trying to process the fact that my whole story about my life was missing chapters I didn't know existed. A few days later, Rasht was scrolling Instagram and went quiet. "That's never a good sign." "Don't look," he said, so I looked. It was a post from Madison. Tagged location, Le Pigeon, a fancy restaurant downtown I could never justify on a teacher's salary. The photo showed Sienna, Madison, and 2 guys I didn't recognize, everyone dressed up, wine glasses. That polished, "We're doing great" energy. The caption talked about an upgrade and it tagged a guy named Brett Caldwell. I clicked his profile. Photos at conferences, nice car, expensive watch. Title, VP of Sales, salary range in his bio that made my stomach tighten, and the date on the post mattered. It was posted the day after my mom's funeral. Rasht watched my face carefully, like he was ready to catch me if I fell, but I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity, like the last few months snapped into focus. Sienna didn't leave because she couldn't handle my mom being sick. She didn't leave because I wasn't present enough. She left because she found someone shinier, someone with status, someone who looked better on paper than a public school teacher sleeping in a recliner next to a hospital bed. And the hospital breakup wasn't just cruel. It was convenient. It let her cut me off at my lowest point, so she could walk into her new life without guilt slowing her down. I handed Rasht his phone back. "Block Madison," I said. "Block anyone tied to Sienna. If she tries to reach me through you, tell her to stop." Then I went home and thought about my mom, about how she lived like money didn't exist because she wanted me to learn how to work. about how she protected me from entitlement without ever needing to announce it, and I realized something else. Sienna showed her true colors before I knew about the inheritance. That meant I never had to wonder if she would have stayed if I had money. She already answered that. Here's the part I didn't tell anyone at first. When the lawyer went over the Tech Vista paperwork, I saw the employee directory. Vice President of Sales, reporting directly to the CEO. Brett Caldwell, the same upgrade in that photo. The company I now own 28% of. The company where I had a board seat. Small world. 6 weeks later, life was still strange. Legal paperwork. Estate details. Grief that came in waves when you least expect it, like walking into a quiet house and remembering no one will answer you again. Word got out about the inheritance. It always does. People talk. Professional circles talk even more, and that's when Sienna started trying to reach me. Blocked calls, new numbers, messages that slipped through before I could block again. I heard about your mom, I'm so sorry. Can we talk? I made a mistake. I still care about you, I read them all. I never replied. Silence is not always avoidance. Sometimes it's the most honest boundary you can set. Rash told me Madison tried calling him too. He shut it down fast. Then I heard another piece through Rash's girlfriend, Tasha, who works in recruiting. Brett had found out who I was. He found out the new board member who inherited a huge stake was his girlfriend's ex. The same ex she dumped in a hospital hallway while his mom was dying. And Tech Vista had layoffs coming up. A board vote. 10% cut across departments. Sales was on the chopping block. Suddenly, Brett wasn't just the upgrade. He was a man realizing his job might be discussed in a meeting where my name was on the attendee list. Sienna's texts got more desperate. Please respond. Brett keeps asking about you. This is awkward. I read them at random times, sometimes right away, sometimes days later. Never once did I answer. My first board meeting was week 6 and it was on Zoom. I kept my camera off and said I was sick. The CEO, Philip Torres, welcomed me, offered condolences about my mom, and moved straight into business. The layoff discussion came up. They wanted cuts in sales and operations. Brett was in the meeting presenting numbers. I could see him on camera. He looked stressed. He kept glancing at the participant list where my name sat. I asked a few questions about the projections. Then I suggested we table the final decision until next month when we had better revenue data. Philip agreed. Meeting adjourned. I never acknowledged Brett directly. I didn't use his name. I treated him like any VP presenting data. Brett still looked like he might throw up. There's a kind of power in refusing to make something personal, not because you're cold, but because you're done letting other people's choices pull you into chaos. Week 7, Sienna started showing up at my mom's old house. I'd already moved back to my apartment, but I went there to pack and prepare to sell. She'd sit in her car outside. If she saw me, she'd follow for a few blocks, then give up. Texts kept coming. Calls, more numbers, more apologies. Then a handwritten letter arrived. 5 pages, a photo album. Memories. I didn't open the album. I didn't read past the first paragraph. I donated it all without looking. Later, I got a text. You donated our memories. Read. No response. Week 9, she tried LinkedIn. Work email. She even got her sister, Kelsey, to call me. I answered by accident. Naylin, please, she said. Sienna's a mess. Can you talk to her? I kept my voice steady. Tell her to stop contacting me. She really loves you, Kelsey said. She just got scared when your mom got sick. I said the truth plainly. She broke up with me in a hospital hallway while my mom was dying. Then she posted pictures with her new boyfriend the day after my mom's funeral. I don't care if she was scared. I'm done. Then I hung up and blocked that number too. By week 10, Tech Vista met again. Layoffs happened. 10% across the board. Brett survived barely. His department was cut the deepest. Then something unexpected happened. A client from my teaching network, a guy in educational software, signed an $8 million contract with Tech Vista. Philip called me personally to thank me. He said it secured the future of the sales division. That meant Brett's job was now safer because of a deal I helped bring in. Not because I wanted to save him, because it was good for the company my uncle built, and now the company my mom quietly protected for me. The irony wasn't lost on me, and from what Tasha heard, Brett and Sienna's relationship was falling apart anyway. Brett told Sienna she was obsessed with her ex, that it was affecting his work stress. He started pulling away. It was the same kind of logic Sienna used on me. You're not present. You're holding me back. Then week 11, the messages stopped. No calls, no texts, no letters, just silence. I felt relief, but also this uneasy feeling like something was about to happen. You don't go from desperate to quiet without a reason. 14 weeks after the breakup, I was writing from a new place. I sold my mom's house. I bought a condo downtown. I didn't want memories in every room anymore. I wanted space to breathe. I started therapy, twice a week. We talked about my mom, about my dad leaving, about being responsible too young, about how I learned to handle everything alone and how that made me easy to manipulate by someone who wanted convenience more than commitment. I took a sabbatical from school for the rest of the year. The principal understood. I used some of the inheritance to set up a scholarship fund in my mom's name, $50,000 a year for students going into teaching. The first awards ceremony was coming soon. My mom would have loved that. I planned a trip to New Zealand. My mom always wanted to go. Now I could, and I wanted to go for both of us. Tech Vista meetings kept happening. We approved expansion. I shifted into more of an advisory role. I didn't want to run a tech company. I just wanted to protect my uncle's legacy and my mom's quiet choices. Brett got promoted from VP to senior VP. Bigger salary, bigger responsibility. After a board meeting, he sent me a short professional thank you email. I replied professionally, one line, then I moved on. Then week 13, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Brett. I need you to know I ended things with Sienna. She's been hung up on you since we got together. I need someone who's actually present. I thought you should know so there's no awkwardness at work. I stared at that message for a long time. He used her words, actually present. The same idea she used to justify leaving while my mom was dying. Karma doesn't always show up with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up with a sentence you recognize. I didn't reply. I blocked the number. The next day, I got a long text from Sienna. Somehow she got through again. I almost blocked it immediately, but something made me read it. It was long. Apologies. Regret. How she traded something real for something shiny and lost both. How Brett leaving her using the same reasoning made her finally understand what she did to me, how she was sorry. I read it at 11:34 p.m. while packing. Read. No response, and I never will respond. Because therapy helped me see the difference between regret and accountability. Sienna wasn't sorry she hurt me. She was sorry her plan didn't work out. If Brett hadn't left her, I wouldn't have gotten that message. If the inheritance never happened, she would still be posting fancy dinners and calling it growth. Her apology was about losing her backup plan, not about respecting my pain. Closure is not something you owe to someone who treated your grief like an inconvenience. Quick note from Auckland. I'm sitting in a cafe overlooking the harbor. I did something today my mom would have both loved and hated. I went bungee jumping off the Sky Tower. My mom would have been terrified, but she would have done it anyway. That was her style. The scholarship was awarded last month. Rashed sent me pictures. 3 students, all going into education. One was the daughter of a single mom, and she planned to teach chemistry. I cried reading her essay. I heard Sienna move to Seattle for a new job. A fresh start, apparently. Good for her. Sometimes I still reread that last message she sent, not because I'm considering replying. I'm not. I read it because it reminds me of something important. She hurt me and I healed. She stayed stuck. That's not revenge, that's consequence. Someone asked me if I ever feel bad about not answering her apologies. Honestly, no. She wanted engagement, anger, forgiveness, conversation. Anything she could use to make herself feel less guilty. I gave her nothing, not as punishment. because I genuinely had nothing left to say. Now I'm adding one more place to the list my mom never got to see. Tomorrow I fly to Iceland. Northern lights are supposed to be incredible this time of year. I'm going to stand outside, look up, and let my mind be quiet. To everyone who followed this whole story, thank you for listening. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the clearest truth. Sometimes the people who leave do you a favor without meaning to. And sometimes silence is not weakness. It's peace. Here are the lessons I'm taking from it. Lesson 1. If someone makes your grief feel like a burden, they are telling you who they are. Lesson 2. Love shows up when it's inconvenient, not only when it's easy. Lesson 3. A late apology after consequences is not always growth. Sometimes it's just panic. Lesson 4. You do not owe closure to someone who used your hardest moment as their exit ramp. Lesson 5. Silence can be a boundary, and boundaries can be an act of self-respect. What would you have said in that hospital hallway? And do you think silence is the right answer when someone only returns once the money and status show up? If you're listening, tell me where you're listening from and what you would have done.